Back to the last patron left and the heavy oak doors of the Riverside Public Library were locked for the night, something extraordinary would begin. While the day librarians went home to their families and the security system armed itself against intruders, Clara would emerge from the shadows where she had been waiting patiently since sunset. Clara was the Midnight Librarian, though no official records mentioned her employment, and her job was unlike anything described in any library science textbook. Clara had the rare ability to hear silent wishes, those desperate, hopeful thoughts that people whispered only in their hearts while browsing the library shelves during the day. A teenager studying for exams would silently wish they were smart enough to get into college. An elderly man reading travel books would wish he could afford to see Paris before he died. A young mother researching children's activities would wish she knew how to make her shy daughter more confident. These unspoken hopes floated through the library like invisible butterflies, and only Clara could catch them. The Midnight Librarian had discovered her gift quite by accident 15 years earlier when she was working as a regular day librarian. She had stayed late one evening to organize returned books when she began hearing whispers that seemed to come from the shelves themselves. At first, she thought someone was hiding in the library after hours, but the voices were too soft, too numerous, and too desperate to belong to hidden visitors. They were the accumulated wishes of everyone who had visited the library that day, lingering in the air like emotional echoes. Clara's collection system was unlike anything found in conventional libraries. Instead of organizing books by subject or author, she had created an invisible archive of human desires. She carried with her a special leather satchel that appeared empty to anyone else, but was actually filled with carefully catalogued wishes, each one preserved in what looked like small glass spheres that glowed faintly with their own inner light. The wish collection process required Clara to move silently through the library after midnight, following the faint trails of hope and longing that crisscrossed the building like silver threads visible only to her specially attuned senses. Near the computer terminals, she would find wishes for job interviews and better employment. Around the children's section, she collected wishes from parents hoping their kids would love reading. In the reference area, she gathered the academic wishes of students desperate to pass their courses. Each collected wish was unique, containing not just the desire itself, but the entire emotional context surrounding it. A wish for healing contained not just the hope for recovery, but also the fear, the love for family members who would be affected, and the determination to fight through difficult treatment. A wish for love carried within it the loneliness that preceded it, the hope for companionship, and the dreams of what a shared life might look like. Clara had learned to categorize wishes by their urgency and achievability. Some wishes glowed brightly because they were supported by action and determination. These were the wishes most likely to come true with just a little help. Others appeared dim and fading because their owners had almost given up hope. These required immediate intervention. The most challenging wishes were those that pulsed with desperate intensity, but seemed impossible to fulfill, given the wish's current circumstances. The Midnight Librarian's most important tool was her fulfillment index, a mystical card catalog that only she could access, containing the names and contact information of people who had the resources, skills, or connections needed to help make specific wishes come true. When Clara found a bright, actionable wish, she would consult the index to find someone whose own life would be enriched by helping that particular dream become reality. For the teenager wishing to be smart enough for college, Clara found a retired professor who was feeling useless and lonely. She arranged for them to meet by ensuring the professor would be volunteering in the library's tutoring program, exactly when the student would be there struggling with homework. Neither person ever knew that their life-changing meeting had been orchestrated by a midnight librarian who collected silent wishes. The elderly man longing to see Paris presented a more complex challenge. His wish contained layers, the surface desire to travel, but underneath, a deeper wish to feel that his life still held possibilities for new experiences. Clara discovered through her index that a travel photographer was looking for interesting subjects for a project about unfulfilled dreams. She arranged for the photographer to notice the man reading travel books day after day, eventually leading to a conversation that resulted in the man being featured in the project and receiving a sponsored trip to Paris as part of the story. Some wishes required creative interpretation rather than literal fulfillment. A young mother's wish for her daughter to be more confident couldn't be granted directly, but Clara could work with the underlying need. She arranged for the little girl to accidentally discover a children's theater group that was looking for exactly her age group, knowing that performing would build the confidence the mother wished for her child. Clara's work was complicated by the fact that some wishes, while heartfelt, weren't actually what their owners needed. A college student might wish desperately to pass a class without studying, but Clara could see that what they really needed was to learn better study habits. In these cases, she would work to fulfill the deeper need rather than the surface wish, sometimes leading to initial disappointment that eventually transformed into gratitude when the person realized they had gained something more valuable than what they had originally wanted. The Midnight Librarian had developed a network of collaborators, though most of them never realized they were part of her wish fulfillment system. Local business owners, community volunteers, teachers, and social workers all found themselves receiving subtle guidance that led them to help people in exactly the ways those people needed most. Clara had become skilled at planting ideas that felt like natural inspirations, nudging helpful people toward situations where their assistance would make the biggest difference. Some wishes were too large for individual intervention and required community-wide solutions. When Clara began collecting multiple wishes about the lack of affordable childcare in the area, she spent months arranging for the right people to meet and discuss the problem, eventually leading to the establishment of a cooperative daycare that served dozens of families. The solution emerged so organically that everyone involved believed it had been their own idea. The most poignant wishes in Clara's collection were those from people who had given up on themselves but still held hope for others. Parents who wished for their children's success while believing their own dreams were impossible. Elderly people who wished for young people to have opportunities they themselves had missed. These altruistic wishes glowed with a special golden light that made them particularly powerful when Clara worked to fulfill them. Clara discovered that the act of fulfilling wishes created ripple effects that went far beyond the original wish. A teenager who received tutoring help didn't just pass their exams, they gained confidence that led them to help other struggling students. An elderly man who received his dream trip to Paris came home with stories and photographs that inspired other seniors to pursue their own delayed dreams. Every fulfilled wish seemed to generate new possibilities for others. The Midnight Librarian's most challenging cases were the wishes that seemed impossible even to her enhanced ability. A terminally ill child's wish to see their deceased grandmother again, or a homeless veteran's wish to have their old life back. For these seemingly impossible wishes, Clara learned to look for ways to fulfill the emotional essence, rather than the literal request. The child couldn't see their grandmother, but Clara could arrange for them to meet an elderly volunteer who shared their grandmother's love of storytelling and baking. The veteran couldn't get his old life back, but Clara could connect him with services that helped him build a new life with dignity and purpose. Over the years, Clara began to notice that the library itself was changing. The building seemed brighter during the day, more welcoming to people who were struggling. Patrons reported feeling hopeful and inspired after spending time in the library, even when they hadn't found the specific books they were looking for. The space was becoming charged with the positive energy of fulfilled wishes, creating an atmosphere that encouraged people to believe in possibilities. Clara's own life was transformed by her work as a Midnight Librarian. She had started as someone who felt invisible and unimportant, but her nightly work of collecting and fulfilling wishes had given her a profound sense of purpose. She had learned that every human being carried beautiful dreams and hopes, even when those dreams seemed impossible or forgotten. Her job had taught her that the world was full of people willing to help others, if they just knew where their help was needed. The most beautiful discovery Clara made was that wishes, once fulfilled, didn't disappear but transformed into gratitude that floated through the library like golden light. This accumulated gratitude created a positive energy field that made new wishes more likely to come true, as if the library was becoming a place where hope naturally flourished and dreams had extra power to manifest into reality. As Clara worked night after night, collecting silent wishes, and weaving them into real-world solutions. She realized that her role was not just to grant individual desires, but to strengthen the invisible web of human connection and mutual support that held communities together. Every wish she fulfilled created new links between people who might never have met otherwise, building a network of kindness and cooperation that made everyone's dreams more achievable. The Midnight Librarian's greatest satisfaction came from knowing that her work continued even when she wasn't there. People who had received help began looking for ways to help others. The library became known as a place where good things happened, where people met exactly the right person at exactly the right time, where impossible coincidences occurred with remarkable frequency. Clara had created a system where wishes didn't just come true. They created the conditions for more wishes to come true, ensuring that hope would always find a way to flourish in the quiet spaces between midnight and dawn.